All right, YouTube. This is Detroit's HPTV coming to you out of Detroit. It's Wednesday evening, back with another video. I wasn't going to even do a video on Diddy, on Puff Daddy. And then I seen Melanie King's video, and she was doing a reaction to Stephen A. Smith, which gave me another take on it as far as how much more bigger than Diddy this really is. Because when I think back, Diddy was with the voter die, and Diddy was with a lot of pushing votes for the Democrats. Now, we also know Hillary and Bill and a lot of Oprah and a lot of them were all being on Epstein's island, which is an interesting take because you know what happened with Epstein when he was arrested. And the thought was, Diddy doesn't have a bond, but could he be Epsteined? Could he be taken out? Because surely, with hundreds of tapes confiscated by the feds, there is no telling who he has on tape and what he has on tape. Because Diddy is known to be nefarious in his dealings with others. So I'm going to do a reaction to Melanie King's video, and then I'm going to comment, because I want you to really listen to what Stephen A. Smith has to say too. Because these Hollywood insiders, a lot of them have to be shaken, because a lot of them were friends with Diddy. They went to those parties that they're now calling freak offs. You know what I mean? You've been hearing that term all week. But let's look at the video. This for fair use under the 1976 Copyright Act for commentary, educational purposes, and the First Amendment. Check this out.
I'm wondering when you see or you hear of people separating themselves from him, distancing themselves from him. Obviously, the default position would be somebody that's in this world of trouble. They're persona non grata. You want to stay away from them. You don't want anything to do with them. But there have been people and noise emanating out of Hollywood that there are some who are keeping their distance from him because they may be culpable as well. Because obviously they knew some people are intimating folks or other folks were involved, et cetera, et cetera. What kind of indication have you gotten reporting on this story, reporting on the business of Hollywood and so many of the things that have transpired? What kind of intel can you provide us as it pertains to possible involvement of anybody else? Or is this all about Diddy? But I'm not ruling out the possibility that he could be in more danger than that, because with all of that electronic equipment, those cameras, those surveillance videos, all of this stuff that he has, chances are he was able to keep folks quiet, one would presume, because they know he had a mountain of evidence against them. What if you're fearful that he's going to target you and he's going to don you out? We don't know what's next, man. We really, really don't know. Kevin Frazier, appreciate you, my man. Thank you so much for taking time. Steve, keep this in mind real quick. Remember what happened to Jeffrey Epstein? He didn't survive. He didn't survive. Well, we know that case. We know that case all too well. Appreciate you, man. Thanks a lot, man. We'll talk.
This is the latest blood sugar, blood pressure, and blood oxygen meter developed by Singapore General Hospital.
No.
Hey guys, I came across this video of Stephen A. Smith talking about the Diddy indictment, and it gets really interesting because he starts to talk about the angle of there being more than just Diddy, that there's Hollywood is scared now. He brings in a reporter from ET to discuss this and talking about how there are levels to this and other people that Hollywood is silent because they can be implicated into what's going on. Not only that, but he gets into the Jeffrey Epstein angle and how Diddy may end up being Epsteined, because we already know he has evidence, or it's alleged he has evidence on all these different people within Hollywood, the music industry, and business executives who have participated in these things with him that he's used as blackmail. Now, that's all allegedly, but this reporter is going to confirm and talk about how Hollywood is very terrified right now. So I'm going to play this. I did speed it up because sometimes it can be too slow. I didn't want this video to be too long. So it is sped up, but hopefully you'll be able to hear it and understand everything that's going on.
He's in a world of trouble. And I hate to bring up this name, but it is apropos in this particular situation. Remember what Suge Knight said? Y'all remember that? When Suge Knight said he was in a world of trouble? Because Suge Knight said, listen, he knows a lot. And so you're looking at a potential situation where it could arguably mirror that of Jeffrey Epstein. Remember him? August 10th, 2019. Prison guards found, I'm reading right from online. Guards found American financier and convicted sex offender Jeffery Epstein unresponsive in his jail cell at the Metropolitan Correctional Center in New York City, where he was awaiting trial on sex trafficking charges. Tried to perform CPR, couldn't resuscitate him, pronounced dead at a downtown hospital at 6:39 a.m. When it went on to say in the reports that there were violations because normal jail procedures on the night of Epstein's death wasn't followed. It talked about a malfunction of 2 cameras in front of his cell. And you got people still to this very day.
Now, think about that. In this world we live in, at this point, we know that certain things are not coincidental. Just like a second assassination attempt on Trump is not a coincidence. You know that's not a coincidence because they're proving that this guy actually needed help to actually be able to pull off what he's pulling off. But when you think about how long Diddy has been in the game, you know what I mean? You go all the way back to Tupac when Tupac was shot at Quad Studio. And nobody never understood why Tupac blamed Diddy and Biggie so much because they didn't go to the simplest thing. For someone to know that he was there or were coming, they had to either see the sign-in book or know that he made a reservation. So when somebody is able to track your whereabouts, that's usually a sign that there's some type of inside information or some type of betrayal. Even with the attempt on Trump, how did the guy know that he would be there? You know what I mean? But the reason I bring up with Diddy is because when you look at the story in the history, Diddy wasn't supposed to be there that night, but he just happened to be there. And they just happened to catch Tupac there. And I'm saying this only in the relevance of how long his run has been with these kind of nefarious things happening around him. But this is another level of the game with Epstein and Oprah and the Democrats. Because when you look at the picture, he's always with either Obama, he's always with the Democratic side, with the left. And they have a tendency to come burning down in flames with their debauchery. But Diddy is going to do what it takes to save himself. And if that means giving up names, then he's going to give up names. And then even when they keep making an attempt on Trump, remember Trump said when he's elected, he's going to turn over the Epstein's list? Do you guys really believe in coincidences? Do you really believe that timing was not a part of this? You see, Epstein lost his life in the jail in New York. Now they got Diddy in jail in New York with no bond. What does Diddy know? What does Diddy have on the tapes? Because surely he's in a world of trouble. Let's continue.
With their conspiracy theories being thrown out there, that it wasn't suicide, but ultimately intentional harm was brought to him because he knew too much about too many people. That's what Suge Knight alluded to when he was talking about P. Diddy. And as we sit here today, who the hell can deny that potential reality? Do we know? No. We don't know. But what we do know is that these are federal charges. What we do know is that his attorney has been on the record saying that he flew to New York as recently as a couple of weeks ago because they knew this was coming down the pike. And he wanted to show compliance and that he wasn't running from anything. And he's expected to plead not guilty. He turned himself in, and months earlier had turned his passports in, and family members had also turned their passports in. But let's lay this out, because we need to understand, we need to gather a level of education in our own brains to edify ourselves to the kind of trouble you can get yourself in sometimes. Him, obviously so. Clearly, you can sit up there and say you're innocent until proven guilty. Nah, that's in the court of law. In the court of public opinion, he's already been found guilty. Can we just be real about that? In the court of public opinion, not law. In the court of public opinion, ain't a damn soul think he's innocent. I'm not.
And that's interesting for Stephen Smith to say that in the court of public opinion, he's already guilty. But in the court of opinion, it's still the factor of, oh, how the mighty has fallen. You know, a lot of times these people, they get built up to where they think they're untouchable. But there's so many factors above them that can tear them down and bring them down. And there's so many people in the bottom waiting to see them come down. But in this case, you see a nefarious parallel between Hollywood, the entertainment business, and the Democratic Party. That's what made me actually want to do a reaction to this. It's the parallels. It's the uh, industry artists that they use for voter registration. You know what I mean? Vote or die, and all Megan Thee Stallion and all the different things that they appeal to black people. They use these Hollywood types, these entertainers, the D.L. Hugleys and the Ricky Smileys. But in the end, like Charlamagne the God, in the end, they always have something over them. You can't forget that Charlamagne the God still has that case involving that young girl in North Carolina. You know, the one where allegedly there was something slipped in a drink, and he pled guilty to a lesser charge. But these shields that the Democrats use, they always have something on them, it seems like.
Denigrating or castigating, brother, whatever. I met him at a Golden State Warriors game. One time I went to a party and it was supposed to be his party. I never saw nothing like that. But without mentioning any names, without incriminating anybody, you see the names? Do you see the people who have befriended him over the years, who have attended his parties, who are considered close to him, who he's been in business with? Have you seen it? Have you seen it? Have you seen it? I mean, this has gotten very...
See, Stephen A. Smith won't even say those names. He won't even say Hillary Clinton, Obama, Oprah, Tyler Perry, T.D. Jakes. The list goes on to people who befriended Diddy and went to his house for those parties. But when you read the list of allegations they got of him, man, it's sickening. It's almost worse than Epstein.
Very scary. Hollywood's in trouble. Hip hop and R&B is in trouble. Because the brother's an elite success story. Had a lot of friends. Had a lot of people vouch, or once upon a time vouched for him. In terms of his brilliance as an artist, a producer rather. Brother knew how to make money. And now here we are. When you're in that position and you know so much, I got news for you. It's gotten very, very scary. If it were just him, it would be sad. It would be very unfortunate. But I use the word scary because I get the impression, to put it kindly, that his life ain't the only life that's going to be affected. That they ain't after him just to get him. You got Homeland Security involved. You got the feds involved. I got news for you.
How many of y'all believe that? Because I can't agree with Stephen A. Smith. This is bigger than Diddy. This is bigger than taking one uppity Negro down. You got Homeland, like he said, Homeland Security, the feds. You know what I mean? And you got a lot of things going on in this country. And I still say it's leftist. Diddy is crashing and burning because of his close affiliation with the left, with the left political views. A lot of times when they get on that Democratic plantation and they think this is going to be about their elevation, more often than not, it's about their downfall. You remember the lady, Sheila Jackson Lee, that passed away from Congress? I did a story on her. You should have seen the hatred and vitriol that was thrown toward that woman when she passed from black people. To lead this world knowing that your legacy is divided between a whole sector of the community that hated your guts and considered you a sellout, and the people who like you only because they benefited in some way from your wealth or political pull. How will we be remembered? Some people don't care because they too busy living and life be lifing. But think about what must be going on in Diddy's mind, because he remembered what happened to Epstein. He knew why they came in his house to get some tapes. Nobody knows more than Diddy how much trouble he's in.
ain't coming just for him. They coming for a whole bunch of people.
And this was said by the U.S. Attorney Damian Williams, and we all know this. One of the things that happened, we've seen over the years, all these allegations of Diddy, all these things been talked about, and sure, it was just blogs. It was just kind of like news. It wasn't really out there in the mainstream like that. But so many celebrity friends of his, when this whole Cassie thing came down, maybe they didn't talk about or say anything or condemn anything he's done previously, right? But then when the whole Cassie thing came out, the lawsuit, and then you have all the other lawsuits. But then when you had the video come out, Hollywood was silent. All the Me Too people silent. What happened to all the Me Too and Believe All Women and all of these other things? Where was Oprah? Where are all these people that if this was, let's be honest, if this was Donald Trump, it would be it talked about everywhere. But for some reason, Hollywood, the music industry, everybody was silent. And to this day, they are still silent. And Suge Knight, what he had to say was saying that, he said that Diddy was an actual CIA informant. I don't know how true that is. But one of the things he said, and I think we all know this, is that Diddy, his involvement, it wasn't just him. It took more than just.
And if you are a student of history, excuse me, cut it off, but if you're a student of history, you would be surprised at who has been federal informants and CIA informants in our communities. We have some right now that are actively working against the best interests of their own people in behalf of the CIA and shadow governments. Just think about not too long ago when Al Sharpton was setting up the mob in New York. You think he ever stopped working? Have you ever seen any informant just say, "Okay, I'm no longer informing. I'm no longer working for the government"? It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. They don't have the retirement package for snitches and informants. They work till they are of no more use. Just for something to think about.
Him for all of this to happen, that there are layers of people, and even alleges Damian Williams, the U.S. attorney, as I was saying, he actually talks about there's more to come. There's more investigations. They are still there. They even have a 1-800 number for people to call. They have the tapes from the raiding Diddy's home. They seized over 90 electronic devices. Okay, from him and his associates. But that doesn't even get into, think about all the text messages and all the videos, and because he kept all of these videos of everyone committing different acts allegedly, and they have seized all of this stuff. And the things that are on there could be politicians. We're talking about, of course, we know music artists, actors, but it doesn't stop there. Let's think about it. There's also the executives in these music companies, business people, the investors, all these different people. You said none of them have anything to say about this. And is it because Diddy has all of this?
And just something else for you guys to think about. Think about the things surrounding Michael Jackson's demise, the things surrounding Prince's demise. You can go all the way back to the things surrounding Jackie Wilson's demise. We're living in some sinister times, and this is really a battle against good and evil. And the betrayal that is known from the left is somewhere involved in this case. There will be a lot of betrayals. There will be people who will be sacrificed on the altar of the court so that others may somehow get freedom. Because you heard earlier in this tape the mysterious circumstances surrounding Epstein's demise. Do you think what's the coincidence of the day that you choose to take yourself off? 2 cameras stop working that usually watch your cell. Think about that.
Information, this dirt on them, like Epstein had. It's the same situation. And that is what I think a lot of our minds have gone to. That this screams of something so much bigger than what we see on the surface. Does that mean that the FBI is going to go after all these people? Because we know there's protection for people in Hollywood. They don't get the same treatment as a normal person. And we know, even though the FBI may sit on information for years, they may use it to flip somebody, turn somebody into an informant, or there's just protection for a lot of these Hollywood elites. But right now, what we're seeing, this is going to be a snowball effect, because I can guarantee Diddy is not going to be sitting in a prison cell until his trial silently, and not trying to, somehow get himself out of this and get a deal, get something done for him, so that, and if he has to, whoever he has to throw under the bus in order to do that, well, that's exactly what he's going to do.
Hollywood's in trouble. I'm not talking about actors and actresses. I'm talking about the music industry. Because anybody that was associated with him are going to be considered suspect. I'm not saying any names because I ain't trying to do that to anybody. I'm not wishing that on anybody. But what I'm saying to you is that when you are associated with a figure that is being accused of the multitude of egregious acts that he has been accused of: sex trafficking, racketeering, drug use, prostitution, flying folks across state lines, and all of this other stuff. Yo, I'm glad P. Diddy's got money. They talking about $50 million bond. They talking about his house on Star Island that's worth about $48 million and, putting that up as collateral. They rejected that, by the way. They rejected that. Prosecutor.
And today they're actually trying to appeal this for him to get bond, like him turning in his family's passports and him trying to sell his plane and all these things. This was strategic for what his attorney told him to do, so that he can look good to get bail, to get bond. But the problem is the U.S. attorneys laid out that it's just all manipulation, because what he has done is the biggest reason why he should not have bail, one of the biggest reasons why they said, is because he's tried to coerce witnesses. He's tried to intimidate witnesses. He's tried to get them to change their story. He has interfered with the case. So they can't trust him with that, among other things. So it doesn't matter. He's the passports and all these other things. He is not eligible. The totality of the crimes that he is accused of doing, all of that is just motion. All of that is noise. All of that was, wishful thinking on the parts of his attorney. That man is going to be in jail up until his trial. So all of that was just fluff and him trying to look good, I guess, for the judge. But his actions are too egregious, and his actions since his home was raided have been egregious. You guys know that they found pink substance, I'll say it here, in his hotel room the night when they went to go pick him up. When he was in his hotel room, he was supposed to turn himself in the next day, but they decided to preemptively get him that night. So they got him, and in his hotel room, he had substance in it, that pink cocaine. Okay, we'll say he had that in his room. And that was something that, I guess that's another charge that he's going to get. I guess if he thought it would be his last night partying, or I don't know what he thought. But the fact that he thought he was safe enough to do that in his hotel room when he's supposed to turn himself in the next day is absolutely insane. And he didn't even think, was he going to be drug tested? But again, a person like this is so used to, getting his way. He's so used to not being held accountable. He's used to yes men. He's used to Hollywood. He's used to protection. His handlers protecting him. And now that he's out here in the cold, it's like he doesn't know how to act. He doesn't have a sound mind to behave like anybody else would with these types of charges when you're supposed to turn yourself in. It's insane that his attorney even thought that he would get bond.
Are calling for him to be in jail. They're saying he's a danger to society. You can't leave him out on the streets. So the question now is he going to get bail? At least at the time that we're recording this episode. We don't know the answer to that yet. But I'm telling you right now, anytime the feds are coming your way, they're not coming just for you. They're not coming. I can't wait till Kevin Frazier, my man for Entertainment Tonight, comes on the show in a few minutes. I can't wait, because let me tell you something. There's lessons to be peeled from all of this. Be careful about the enemies that you crop up. Be careful about people that have a target on your back. The people you've alienated, you've infuriated. Think about the people he's done business with. Think about the money involved. Think about how it would have been in folks' best interest to shut the hell up and never say anything. Yet somehow, some way, this stuff evidently was going on for years, according to the feds. And almost nobody said anything. That was before. And then suddenly, when things go bad, there's videotapes. There's recordings. There's surveillance cameras. There's electronic equipment. There's a multitude of statements. Clearly, he's in a world of trouble. This man is one of the richest people in the world, and he can't lead the country. At this moment, he can't lead a state. For all we know, by the end of the day, he won't be able to leave a jail cell. You're going after him like this, not just because he's a well-known figure, not just because he's P. Diddy, not just because you want to get him off the streets in your eyes if you're the feds, because supposedly you want to stop him from committing these criminal acts. You're after an enterprise. You're after an abundance of people.
I'm going to put the rest of this video from Melanie King in the community sections. Go check it out. But I wanted to end on that note because it's obvious that they're after something bigger than Diddy, just by the way they're coming. You know what I mean? With Homeland Security and the feds and local police, even after he was supposed to turn himself in. The tapes and the information that he has maybe is so detrimental that that type of urgency is needed to secure him and the evidence for those bigger fish. And remember, Trump had kept saying he was going to give up that people who was on that list. Diddy has a list. And as close as it is to election time, who knows what may surface through the Freedom of Information Act or people following this trial. At this point in time, we really have to be focused because this is not just a distraction. This is a part of the total chaos that we see coming out of DC, coming out of Hollywood. They're in cahoots. Hollywood and the Democratic Party are in cahoots. Obviously, you see that. You know what I mean? That how Hollywood attack dogs come out in defense of Democratic candidates. The ferociousness that they use. Interesting times. Like I said, I'm going to put the rest of it in the community section. I'm going to leave it at that. Sign to our Detroit. It's Detroit's HPTV. Support the nonprofit. It's Detroit's Black Thought and Ash Collective. The Cash App is in the description. As always, salute to all patriots. Y'all keep your head on a swivel and stay posted. Like, share, and subscribe. Peace.